Hi, I'm Robin, and I'm the owner of the Imaging Center of Eastern Oklahoma in Poto, Oklahoma. And with October being right around the corner and it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I just wanted to give an idea about what we do in our clinic, and I wanted to do a little education. And hopefully, you will find some benefit in this video, and hopefully, I will not keep it going too long. But here's a couple of facts. Approximately 41,000 women will die from breast cancer this year. 1 in 8 women in the U.S. will develop invasive breast cancer over their lifetime. Those are scary numbers, and so I just wanted to give y'all a little bit of information about an alternative, not really an alternative, but a different screening tool that can be used for breast cancer screening, and it's called thermography. And I don't know how many of you have heard of thermography, but it's what we do here in our clinic. And we can do thermograms of any part of your body because there's a lot of different uses for it. But because it's breast cancer awareness, I want to discuss thermography used as a breast cancer screening tool. First off, I want to tell you that what it is. I'm sorry. I just need to tell you what it is. For those of you who don't know what it is, I'm sure you've heard of infrared cameras being used in the military to find people in buildings. Infrared cameras are used to hunt or to night vision camera type things to detect animals in the woods or people in the woods if there's lost people. So that gives you an idea of what it is. It's a heat detecting camera, basically. And what we use is a medical grade heat detecting camera. And so it measures skin temperature and reflects that skin temperature onto this computer screen, and where we can read the differences. And your body should have what's called a thermal fingerprint. And what that means is when we look at your body, whether it's head to toe, whatever it is, the right side and the left side should basically be the same. And if it's not, it could be an indication of some sort of physiological change, something going on, or a dysfunction in something. Vasculature, nerves, lymphatic system. So anyway, but I'm not here talking about all that. I'm here talking about breast cancer, and that's pretty much almost like a vascular, when you really get down to it, it's a vascular change. And because what happens is when cancer grows, it needs nutrients, and those nutrients have to be provided by blood supply. And so as cancer is growing and proliferating, which means it's multiplying, the cells are multiplying, those cells multiplying and the growth and the feeding that's going on produces heat. And that heat in breast cancer can be seen at the skin surface. And so that is why thermograms are a tool that can be used to look for and screen for breast cancer. Because as that heat is produced at the skin temperature, the thermogram will see that in whichever breast it is and reflect that on the computer screen. And so a friend of mine told me about thermography. I'm a nurse, and a friend of mine told me about it, and I researched and did a lot of research. And I was trying to research the science, and I was like, does it make sense? You know, is this bogus? What is going on here? And I realized there are a lot of different opinions about using thermography as a tool to help identify women and men at risk for developing breast cancer. And what I found in most of the studies that are done, 85% or less accuracy. That's in mammograms. That's in thermograms, which means malignancies and tumors, or non-tumors even, are actually not found, or are found in 15 to 17% of the cases. And so I'm like, that's a lot of people that can be affected, either told they have a tumor and they don't, or told they don't have a tumor and they do. And so this really kind of concerned me, because I was like, I didn't realize mammograms, because I've had mammograms, I didn't realize they were so inaccurate. And so what happens is, for instance, a thermogram may not pick up a cancer because that cancers go dormant, which means they're not growing and producing heat. So a thermogram may not pick that up. If it's not producing heat, thermogram's not going to pick it up. But in like a mammogram, if you're a woman with dense breast, a mammogram might not pick that up because dense breast tissue and tumors look a lot alike. So a tumor could be missed. Whereas a thermogram might pick it up because it's producing heat. So there's inaccuracies, but there's no perfect screening tool. There's not, ultrasounds aren't perfect, PET scans, CAT scans, MRIs, mammograms, thermograms, nothing's perfect. And so what happens is people are either overdiagnosed or underdiagnosed. But the good news is that the studies have shown that if you use mammogram and thermography together, the accuracy rate increases to 95%. That is huge to me. I mean, that's a big jump. I mean, that's 95%. 95 out of 100 women or men, the cancers can be found when used in conjunction with each other. So there's a lot of people that say thermograms changed my life, saved my life, mammograms saved my life, and because of this underdiagnosing or overdiagnosing, either one of those can be true. Thermal changes occur when the angiogenesis occurs, which is the growth of the new vessels that are feeding the tumor. And so as that begins, heat begins. And then angiogenesis actually begins when the cells are starting to proliferate and double and triple and multiply. But what happens is there can be years, a tumor can show up, or cancer cells that are producing heat can show up on a thermogram and not be seen on a mammogram because there's no tumor yet. There's no actual structure. Thermograms don't see structure. They don't see bone. They don't see organs. They see heat patterns. And so if there's cells that are producing heat, it will show up on the thermogram where there's no actual structure that the mammogram is going to pick up, or even a mass isn't palpable if you do monthly exams. And so thermograms are great in this arena because they actually may help identify cancer at earlier stages. And so at that point, if it's seen at early enough, then you're monitored over time to see the changes that are occurring. And then you can change your eating habits, you can change your lifestyle, you can do things that will help slow the progression of a tumor or even stop it, which is great news. And so I just wanted to share that part with you. And another thing I want to talk a little bit about is inflammatory breast cancer. And inflammatory breast cancer is, mammograms don't detect it because it is not a tumor. It is not a structure. It is not a ball. It is not a mass. It is like a sheet of cells under the surface of the skin. And that sheet of cells are cancer cells. It is progressive. It grows rapidly. And it is poor prognosis if someone is diagnosed with it. It mimics infection. So you may have a swollen breast, red breast, dimpling of the skin, heat. And so it's that heat that makes the thermograms perfect for finding this because it produces the heat. It can be seen by, as long as the skin temperature is changing, it can be seen by a thermogram. And women diagnosed with inflammatory breast cancer have a prognosis. If they're diagnosed early, it's 5 years. If they're diagnosed in later stages, it's 2 years. And those are horrible numbers. That's very, very grim. But thermography is a screening tool that is safe. It can be done as early as 25 years of age, where women who are younger, who have a family history of breast cancer, who are being exposed to mammograms year after year, can have thermograms done in place of some of those mammograms and not be exposed to that radiation. There's no radiation, there's no pain, it's not invasive, we don't touch you. And the images can be viewed immediately. You can see what's going on. You can't read them because I can't read them. And but you can see what the images look like on the screen immediately. And then you usually have a report back within 72 hours. We send the reports. We are certified technicians. If you decide to go somewhere and have this done, you want to make sure you get done by a certified technician, and you want to make sure your report is read by a board certified MD or DO who is trained in thermology. You don't want the technicians reading them. So make sure if you get this done that you have somebody read it that knows what they're talking about and has been trained. Thermography looks for change over time. So what we do is we bring you in, do an initial scan, and send those images off to the doctor. He sends the report back. 3 months later, we do another one, send those off, and he sends the report back. The reason you wait 3 months is because cancer cells double every 90 days. So if they're doubling in 90 days, you should have a change in the skin temperature. And so that's what they're looking for. Initially, they're looking for your thermal fingerprint. What is your normal thermal fingerprint? That is what your skin temperature looks like normally. And they will look at that, compare right side to left side, because your right side and your left side of your body should look the same. Whether it's your back, your legs, your arms, anything. They should basically look the same as far as your thermal fingerprint. So then in 3 months, we send that report off. They are comparing right side to left side again, but they're also comparing the 3 months test images to the 1 month, to the initial one, and they are comparing to see if there's any changes in those two, along with comparing right side to left side. They will send back a report within 72 hours of every time we send them in. They're usually back within 72 hours, and they will recommend follow-up, whatever needs to be done. And we will pass that report on to you, or we can pass it on to your physician, and the reports are sent to them. Their images are sent to them on a secure server, so you don't have to worry about that. Thermograms are looking for potential disease, potential pathologies, just like a mammogram. When you go have your mammogram done, you don't go in expecting for them to find a tumor. Well, with thermograms, it's the same thing. You should have a thermogram now to get your baseline and what your normal thermal pattern looks like. And that way, over time, as you come in, annually is when we recommend, but as you come in and have them, each one of them done, then it looks at the change over time, and to see, and that way we catch it early if there's a change at all in your thermal fingerprint, the pattern of your temperature. Most of the, if you read about, if you go research and do, you'll find some old research that says this is a horrible thing to do because the technology wasn't there. I mean, there's stories about how they used to do it, and technology has advanced so much in the last 40, 50 years. It's unreal. We all know that. Just in the last 5 years, it's changed so much. But new research says that thermograms cannot be used as a standalone screening tool, which makes sense. I would never recommend it. They're only, they're less than 85% accurate. Unlike mammograms, which are recommended, but they're still less than 85% accurate. But mammograms are the gold standard. And the reason is because mammograms have had numerous research studies done with them. And so that became the gold standard. Well, now the research says thermography has not had enough research. The papers you read say thermography has not had enough research studies done for it to be recommended as a standalone test. They do recommend that it be used in conjunction with mammograms because, as I told you earlier, using them in conjunction, they all of a sudden become 95% accurate rather than less than 85% accurate. And so more studies have to be performed with thermography, but that will lead, that takes money, it takes time, so who knows. I'm afraid it will continue to be the black sheep of breast cancer screening until the funding is there and the research is done. So, but sadly, I hate to say it, but the fact is the science makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Heat, infection, angiogenesis. If you look up angiogenesis, it will tell you produces heat. Thermal cameras pick up heat. The whole process makes sense, but a lot of people are not going to put the cost, put their health above the out-of-pocket cost of this test. they just don't do it. They have insurance, and they're like, if my insurance isn't going to pay for it, I'm not going to have it done. And that's sad. And I really hate to hear that. But it's a fact. I mean, money's tight. Not everybody has the money to do it. Our mammograms are $125. I mean, our thermograms are $125. For the month of October, I'm offering 20% off, which is $25. So you can have one done for $100. And then when you come back for your 3-month screening, I will still honor that 20% off. And so if you really break it down, our most expensive thermogram, which is a full body, head to toe, is less than a cup of coffee a day. That's less than a cup of a plain cup of Joe from McDonald's, not your Starbucks cup of coffee. Because if you're buying Starbucks, you're spending more. And so people don't mind spending money on their pets. They don't mind spending money on their skincare, their hair, or whatever, and that's fine. I just wish that people would understand the benefit of having this. It could save lives, and I hope that I've convinced you that this is something that needs to take place, and people need to know about it. And I hope and pray that you will find a clinic near you and have your initial screening done soon. Anyway, I hope you have a blessed day, and I'm sorry if this took too long. If it took too long for you to sit here and listen to it, I tried to run through it really quick. Feel free to call me if you have any questions. Our number is 918-649-5120, or you can find us on Facebook, or you can look at our website. It's www.imagingcenterok.com. Thanks. Have a great day.